turbulent days in Czechoslovakia, and huge crowds of workers gather in Prague as the new, mainly communist government comes into power. Later, the new plans were put to the vote as the curtain falls on a drama which has changed the face of Czechoslovakia.
Hi there. Jitka Hanzlova is another of my favorite female photographers based in Europe. Through her pictures, she communicates in a quiet but extremely eloquent manner. She fled the Czechoslovak Socialist Republic to West Germany at the age of 24 and was awarded refugee status. Not only was she separated from her homeland, but she also had a language barrier that she had to overcome. She was reliant on looking, listening, and observing. And after discovering photography, it became her new language, with a universal vocabulary. This traumatic period of exile, in conjunction with her delight at finding a mechanism to convey her feelings, defined her photography. The effects of this exiled experience was probably similar to someone who loses one or more of their primary senses. Often they discover that the remaining senses become energized. During her early years in Germany, her sense of identity was eroded and she experienced feelings of loss. I find that her pictures are filled with a sense of solitude and longing, whether she's photographing people, things, or places. It probably isn't something that she tries to do. In all likelihood, she can't help but observe the world from this viewpoint. There's nothing dramatic about her pictures, but they offer viewers a glimpse into her journey to rediscover her identity. It was only after the opening of the Iron Curtain in 1990 that she returned to Czechoslovakia and began to work in her home village, Rokytnik. She was bridging the gap between her adult self and her childhood memories. The images are arresting because they have a snapshot feel, but at the same time seem highly controlled. She says that during the process of photographing the village, she was retrieving her past piece by piece. As she developed her photographic aesthetic, she was able to slowly reconnect with her history in the village. Using subtle colors, she reveals their everyday lives. She seems to be tentatively exploring the idea of familiarity. Her pictures are in vertical format, even when people are excluded. One writer suggests that Hanzlova is seeing the world through an ongoing series of portraits. Her subjects look directly at the camera, but she maintains a respectful distance. There's a slight hesitation, as if she or they are unreachable. The villages are presented within the space that surrounds them, as if she's measuring what it must be like to have an unbroken connection with the land. It's like viewing an unnerving fairy tale. Just when you think the story might be leading into the domain of nostalgia, she presents something absurd, like a girl seemingly dancing with a goat, a pig with its throat cut, or a well-dressed hunter cradling a dead deer. In her uncluttered compositions, Hanzlova holds our attention and interest by balancing lightness with weight. She went on to photograph her series Forest. This work was done in the Carpathian mountains near to her home village. Having completed photographing Rokytnik, she wanted to further enhance a connection with the landscape that she remembered. The natural environment that she inhabited in her youth offered an opportunity to escape the complexities of people, oppressive histories, and failed ideologies. She approached this subject carefully, as she teased out a suitable visual language. Often it takes years for her to develop an aesthetic that fits the message that she wants to communicate. In isolation, pictures of nature can seem mundane and uninteresting. But these aren't just pictures of a woodland. They're an attempt to connect with an enduring bond with her past. The photographs become metaphors for the complexity as well as the fragility of our existence. It's against the backdrop of her personal history that one has to contemplate this set of pictures. A part of Hanzlova's exploration of identity was the idea of place and how environments impact our delicate sense of being. She produced 2 urban-based series, Bewohner, which translates into residents or inhabitants. In this essay, she considers her adopted home in Germany, Essen. In Hier, she focuses on the Ruhr region. She seems to be empathizing with nature, which in her pictures seems only to survive within the scarce spaces found between man-made structures. Her pictures convey her feelings about wanting to belong, but also reflect the sense of isolation that one can feel within man-made environments. Hanzlova is probably best known for her portraits, in particular her series Female. The women were spontaneously photographed on the streets of Europe and North American cities. The women remain apart from their surroundings, retaining their individuality. Hanzlova doesn't try to portray these women by their occupations, nationalities, or other groupings, like, say, Sander. They're identified only by their first name. The usual stuff that we rely on to define people, like age, are ignored. Her approach was just to randomly meet and ask her subjects if she could take their picture. The whole interaction took place within a short period of time. The women mostly stand upright, looking directly at the photographer, and therefore at us, the observers. The subjects are intensely individual, but there are also threads connecting them. Again, in the series, she was searching for that sense of self that defines each individual. The photographs therefore reveal both aspects of the portrayed woman as she finds her reflection in the subject's gaze or demeanor. Over the span of 4 years, she continued this project. She would hold a reasonable distance as she made these portraits, allowing us, the viewer, to observe without the interaction feeling intrusive. Within the space, she captures an intimacy, and the power of the picture comes from the balance between composure and vulnerability. She was searching for moments that have what she refers to as the invisible between, when a dense connection is achieved. She understood that during these brief interactions, she was pursuing a level of convergence that the old master painters would achieve through many hours interacting with their sitters. Within the exhibition space, Hanzlova presents her images as modestly sized prints. She has, of course, seen the massive prints of some photographers like Andreas Gursky, but feels that this approach doesn't suit her subject matter. Gursky is making isolated, explosive statements that become potent when printed extremely large. In contrast, Hanzlova is telling a quiet story through the mechanism of a photo series, and the intimacy that she worked so hard to capture gets lost when individual prints become too assertive. She doesn't want the images to become attention-seeking. The viewer must enter a contained space and discover the narrative through the details within the photographs. There's a calmness to her exhibition rooms that invite viewers to lean into the pictures. She wants to replicate her own search for what she describes as nearness. Recently, she's begun to allow her work to be shown outside the context of the series that initially defined them. During the early stages of her career, she was reluctant to let go of these essay boundaries. But now she's become interested in exploring the broader storylines that flow through all of her work. She sees herself and what she brings to her photography as the common source. Therefore, beneath the confines of the project structure, there are subterranean threads that are common to her total creative output. She allows content, atmosphere, correlations, and contradictions to steer the new image relationships. When I look at Hanzlova's pictures, I get the sense that a process of deep assimilation has taken place. The psychoanalyst Wilfred Bion developed the theory of emotional containment. In simple terms, he suggested that in the process of raising a child, the mother performs a soothing function. The mother digests the child's intolerable experience and then gives it back to the child in a form that he or she can tolerate. Bion saw this process playing out in the therapy room as the therapist repeatedly contains the patient. Hanzlova is also performing this role over and over again in her photographic practice, primarily to soothe her own intolerable feelings related to being exiled. We're able to encounter her scenes after they've been filtered through her photographic process. I'll end with some pictures from her unusual project Horse. Theoretically, horses are not a great choice for an art project. One generally would think of pretty coffee table books or equestrian owner's manuals. But for 8 years, she sought to expose what defines these animals. The pictures reveal the individual natures of these creatures. She's not presenting them in relation to humans, but as a discrete species. As with her human subject, she establishes trust by presenting herself as an equal. I hope you enjoyed her work, and I'll see you next time.